Pradeep, do it.
So again, hello to everyone who's come on. We're going to start here in the next minute, the presentation. And as you join, if you've already joined or joining, it says that the session is being recorded. So we will record the entire introductions, the presentations, and then we will turn off during the network, which I will facilitate. So just sort of starting things off, I'm Teresa Mueller. I'm the Vice Chair for our Global Committee of our Northern Illinois Commercial Association of Realtors. I'm also part of some other associations. And we have this monthly Zoom where we have different countries represented every month, where they present, whether it be a market outlook or opportunities, et cetera, in their particular area. And we have 1 to 3 presenters depending on the country and who's available. And then afterwards, we always have a needs and wants slash networking session where it's an opportunity to talk about some of the opportunities in your country, whether it's something that you're listing or something that you're seeking, whether it be within your own country or another country if you're representing a client. So we will have that at the end. I am going to turn the mic over to the superstar chair, Ahmed, and just remember that it is recorded. And please, as we're in this in the presentation, if you could type any questions in the chat, you're welcome to use the chat. Give your all your contact information in the chat. I will share my contact information, and then you could save the chat at the end. But please type your questions and or save them to the end after the presenters will take questions at that time. So Ahmed, here's the mic.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Good morning and welcome everybody. Really great to see all the faces, our global partners and friends. Right off the bat, I'd like to thank Pradeep for getting us these superstar panel members whose reputation goes well beyond the borders of India. With the global webinars, I've seen them, their faces, and I've heard them. So I'm very pleased for your participation. I'm the chair of the Global Commercial Global Business Network of the Northern Illinois Commercial Association of Realtors, also known as NICAR. So NICAR is what they call a commercial overlay board of the National Association. So our whole focus is on things commercial. And here the connection is with the global side. And so we've had different countries, as Teresa has mentioned. Next month, it's going to be attorneys from San Diego who are basically going to be talking about trade between Mexico and the US, which is the biggest trading partner. So right up the, thank you very much. Welcome to our webinar. And I'd like to introduce Mark Kitabayashi, who is the regional coordinator for Asia Pacific for the Northern for National Association of Realtors. Mark has been involved in this part of global with NAR for many, many years. He's been a realtor in Washington State for the last 21 years. He's an instructor for various NAR programs. He's also the NAR regional president in 2019 for Region 12. Also involved in community affairs. And Mark, I would like to give you the mic. Thank you very much and welcome. And the mic is yours.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Good morning, everyone. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and we're 2 hours behind than the Illinois is, but I'm glad to be here this morning. But I just want to share quickly on the National Association of Realtors, NAR's global program. A global program has a couple arms to it. One of the programs that we talked about is we do have a bilateral partnership with many different countries. Throughout the world, we are partnered with about 80 countries and with a little bit over 100 associations. Within the region that I cover, we have a 5 regional coordinator. We have one for Asia Pacific, which is myself, and we have one for Eastern Europe and Africa and Middle East, and also we have Western Europe, and we have the Caribbean and North America, and also South America, Central and South America. And for my region, and within NAR, I cover basically from Japan, China, all the way through to New Zealand, Australia, and as east from our side is up to India as well. And within that, we have a 16 country, and we have about 26 bilateral partner association. And NAR India, who's going to give us a presentation, our friend, is that one of them as well. And also we have an ambassador association program. Some local or state associations is assigned or request to be ambassador association. And for today, India, the Raleigh Regional Association of Realtor, which is in, of course, North Carolina, is our ambassador as well. And we all so these are the way that we have it, and a lot of them we do a lot of education, and we do a lot of cross-cultural tours and these Zoom meetings as now. And one thing is one good thing that COVID brought us was actually we brought the world closer, because all of us were able to do, and everybody started thinking doing Zoom type of meeting or these video meetings. So it's, maybe that's one advantage. I think I reached out and I attended more of these meetings throughout the world than any other time that I've been involved in a global. But with that said, and we do have an ambassador to India, and Pradeep Shukla is our ambassador to India. And I'm going to turn my mic over to Pradeep Shukla, who's from Main Street, which is a local area in Illinois Association, is our ambassador. So I'm going to give this mic to Pradeep. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you for inviting me.
Good morning to the US attendees, and good evening to my friends from India. It's always an honor and privilege to talk about India, the country of my birthplace. I'm Pradeep Shukla, Global Ambassador to India for National Association of Realtors. I am Managing Broker of Remax Renaissance in Des Plaines, Illinois, with major concentration on commercial real estate. In my personal life, I am a certified public accountant with CCIM, CIPS, and IPRO designations. I have served on the boards of Main Street Organization of Realtors, Illinois Realtors, and National Association of Realtors. Currently, I am also a board member of MRED LLC, that is Midwest Real Estate Data LLC, and Association of South Asian Real Estate Professionals. I also participate actively into some local, state, and national committees for global, commercial, audit, and financial matters. Coming to India, before we start the discussion, I would just recommend my attendees, US attendees specifically, that whenever you think or talk about India, you must think of India as a continent rather than a country. With 7th largest in size, 2nd largest in population, multiple ethnicities, world's fastest growing middle class, India has 28 states and 2 union territories, with some states being larger than many of the European countries. Without much ado, I would like to introduce the speakers. First of all, we are missing Tarun Bhatia, who is current president and my good friend from Delhi. Tarun serves on the Finance and Foreign Affairs Committee of NICAR India, and is also a global member on the board of NICAR. He is postgraduate in finance, is affiliated with Shalu Agencies, a real estate consulting firm since 1980. Whatever growth of IRMs and regulations and the increase in affiliations with the US counterpart we find during recent past has to be credited to him, along with our other 2 participants today. Incidentally, Tarun is out of country due to some last minute flight adjustments, he will not be able to attend. Next is Samir Arora. He is incoming president of NICAR India with over 3 decades industry experience. He is an engineer with a master's degree in business administration. He is CEO and founder of Hertz Global Bangalore, and he also serves on CREA, a confederation of real estate associations India. He is Paul Harris Fellow with Rotary International and 3 times chapter director at BNI. He has also served as CEO of one very large export firm of India. In private life, he hails from a veteran family and has also won medals in archery competition. In social media, he is widely recognized with his brand #TheLai Our next speaker today is Swapnil Patil from my own Karma Bhumi, Mumbai. Swapnil is a director of Soul Space Property Private Limited since 2009. In past, he has served as Vice President of HSBC Bank Mumbai and Area Sales Manager of ICICI Bank Pune. Swapnil has also master's degree in business administration. He served as secretary of South Metro City Association of Real Estate in Mumbai, and currently he is serving as secretary of National Association of Realtors India. I would now request Teresa to please invite our guest and enlighten us on the scene of commercial real estate in India. Teresa?
So you want me to introduce them? So I'm not speaking now. It will be Samir.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Samir, please come.
And he can go ahead and share screen. And if you have any questions in the chat, anyone, as they're presenting, please put your questions in the chat and we will take them at the end of the 2 presentations. Thank you very much.
Am I audible to everybody? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Please go ahead.
Great. So thank you very much, everybody. Good morning to everyone in the US. Good evening, late good evening to everyone here in India. I liked what Mark said, that the pandemic has actually brought everybody closer. I've been married close to 30 years, and I got to know my wife better in these last 2 years in the pandemic. So it truly has brought a lot of us closer. I thought I would just start on a small, lighter note. I know we are supposed to talk about commercial real estate. Our president, Tarun's flight was rescheduled, and hence he asked me to take up. So I will be taking 2 of the 3 subjects, and the third part of the commercial would be taken up by my colleague, Swapnil. So let's talk a little about India, though a fair bit has been spoken and I'll speak it. But I keep saying home has never been advertised as much in the history of mankind as it has been since pandemic, with everybody saying, stay home, stay safe. We're talking commercial real estate, but truly real estate is the safest vaccine invented yet. So the introductions have been given. All I would say is, when I address US, I always write as Dollar Amir Arora. And Amir in India means a rich person at heart. So I keep saying, even if you take my dollars away, I would still continue to remain rich at heart. So thank you to all of you for inviting us to the Prairie State. And I completely agree. All of you have the right to get mad when, people pronounce S in the Illinois. So welcome to India. That's what we are presenting. Pradeep mentioned a part of this, but it's the largest democracy in the world. It's the 2nd largest population in the world with 135 billion people today. It's the 7th largest country in size. It has the maximum languages spoken in any country in the world. It has maximum movies, which are more than 1,000 produced every year, more than Hollywood. It is the second largest English-speaking population in the world. The software exports from India today go to over 100 plus countries, and it also has the second largest army in the world, and yet India has never invaded any country in 10,000 years. Obviously, we are proud Indians. So talking about the real estate insights, you know, the real estate market in India will be close to about $1 trillion by 2030. And that will contribute almost to 13.5% of India's GDP from 2025. 20 million affordable houses are to be built and delivered in India by next year alone under the government Prime Minister scheme. The residential housing, the commercial offices, the retail, hospitality, industrial warehousing, these are the majorly growing components of real estate. Bangalore and Hyderabad, the two southern hubs, remain the fastest growing commercial hotspots thanks to the IT industry growth, but they are very closely followed by Mumbai, by Delhi NCR, by Pune and Chennai, and many other tier 2 cities in India. You know, the net absorption of commercial office space saw a 60% jump in the third and fourth quarter of 2021, and this might come as a surprise. But the unique phenomena was acquisition of larger A-grade commercial spaces by, say, giants like Apple and Tesla and the other IT companies and top brands, whereas the small and mid-sized spaces experienced larger vacancies and slow sales, obviously due to the pandemic. The office rentals did see a small dip. The co-working and co-living spaces have definitely been impacted. And our new world will have to evolve with flexibility and a new model evolution, with many companies making work from home mandatory as we move forward. The industrial warehousing has witnessed a huge boom, with logistics and e-commerce getting a massive growth opportunity post the pandemic. The $12 billion warehousing market is likely to double up to almost $25 billion in less than 4 years. And that has fueled a huge demand for industrial warehouses. You know, your e-companies like Flipkarts and Amazons, all of them are doing extremely well, and that business has picked up hugely. The government policies, the affordable rates for warehouse locations, the fractional investments in warehousing have all spurred the demand of warehousing, and that will be a blue chip option for real estate in India investment for some time to come. And typically, I personally feel it will be a great opportunity for US and India collaborations too, because a lot of e-commerce tech platforms essentially are collaborations with the US in India. Our private equity did take a little dip, but it has come back to its mall. Obviously, the retail and mall investments have fallen shortly, but I will skip this because I'm sure Swapnil will talk about it in little more detail. This is about a little percentage of the GDP contribution that India has witnessed. Obviously, we've had a little drop, but it's increasing and the numbers are very, very highly encouraging in the last quarter. So why do we call India a land of billion opportunities? Not just because we have a billion people. So one of the reasons why when people ask why we should invest in India, so I keep saying because His Highness Dalai Lama, yours truly, lives in India. I'll tell you the story of Dalai Lama if we have any time later. Because it is one of the world's fastest growing economies. Since the launch of Make in India initiative by our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, the foreign direct investments flow has increased by 37%. Leading investors are already ranking India amongst the most attractive and growth potential markets to invest in. There is a huge domestic market in India, exactly like the US. The rising affluence is a huge driver of the consumption, and the consumer growth story will be led by close to 130 million urban consumers in India. You know, extremely rising global competitiveness. India is considered the top startup capital of the world. It has the second biggest pool of engineers and scientists worldwide. besides Japan and US, India is the only supercomputer maker, perpetually bettering and jumping the ranking for the ease of doing business and global competitiveness. Though we have a little way to go, it's becoming the superpower in the Asia Pacific region. And we have the biggest strength, the largest youth population of the world, whose average age is below 29, almost my age. We also have the maximum university graduates in the world in India. The One Nation, One Tax, the GST, the Goods and Services Tax, has been a major revamp. It has taken a little while to set up, but now the country is on the move with it, and that has simplified a lot of things. 30,000 plus startup initiatives are recognized by the government of India alone. I already talked about the rising economic influence across Asia Pacific, political and economic stability, and we all know how important it is to business environments. The non-resident Indians and the persons of Indian origin is a very large population in multiple countries, including US, that invest back in India. So these are more about how a NRI can invest in India. But let's talk about the Real Estate Regulation Act, which was implemented in 2016, now has developers, realtors, almost every stakeholder certified, and there is more transparency, and NRIs have more confidence of investing. The digital medium has made the world smaller, and it is easy to invest without actually traveling. Repatriation of funds for somebody living abroad when selling, and double taxation issue means realtors at both ends make the transaction smoother. The REITs in India have taken off and are going to be a great investment mode for everybody. And the fractional investments are the latest trend for both commercial and industrial warehousing and have been doing extremely well. So talking about the commercial real estate market overview, the real estate sector is almost expected to contribute 13% of the GDP. The retail, the hospitality are growing significantly, providing the much needed infrastructure. Obviously, things like malls and all have been impacted with the pandemic, but the commercial real estate sector in India is predicted to be accelerated by large-scale investments by institutional investments in the upcoming years. And most predictions predict it the hottest sector for the next 5 years in India. The sector has also been boosted by the government initiatives such as Make in India and other reforms like RERA, GST, and the other things. Now, the FDI is flowing in large amounts, the foreign direct investments, and that is what is required to infuse large capitals. Almost every top fund is now sitting in India and collaborating with the top developers to build commercials. So the demand for commercial property is being driven by the country's economic growth, and the smart city initiatives and programs like that are really helping the infrastructure growth. The IT, ITAS, retail, consulting, e-commerce, all of them have registered a very high demand for the office spaces. The commercial office stock in India is expected to cross 700 million square feet. This was a figure for 2019 and has grown. And the gross office absorption has increased to nearly 25% year on year. The growth of co-working office spaces has also been increasing rapidly. And contrary to the whole pandemic thing, models like WeWork and all the other companies are back and getting to, because it's startup capitals, these cities, there is so much of startup demand for offices that they serve it very, very well for the IT industry. The office markets are witnessing increased growth in the country, especially cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai have witnessed 2 to 3% of increase in demand for spaces even through these pandemic periods. So, 28 million square feet and further growing. Bangalore alone constitutes, I was reading another report where the total intake of office space in the last 2 years of Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Japan put together is less than in Bangalore city alone. Bangalore is the Silicon Valley of India. So if you add Hyderabad, which is almost competing neck to neck with Bangalore, it's almost double of it. The retail space obviously has taken a little hit, but will continue to grow over the next 5 years very, very strongly. The Indian commercial real estate has retained a strong position in the market and is truly becoming a preferred destination for global institutional investors. Some of the major commercial real estate players in our country are companies like DLF, Godrej, HDIL, and Oberoi Realty, and all of them large global players from India. So the market is essentially dominated by 5 to 6 large players, and it's a highly competitive market in India. This is an indicative chart of how various top cities in India have done the completion of malls over the last couple of years, and they define the commercial real estate to a large extent. In terms of office completions, as you can see, Bangalore leads the chart. Mumbai or the Mumbai metropolitan region, Chennai, Hyderabad, NCR, these are some of the large places, and that's the total consumption on the office spaces that has happened. And there is a market summary of how your compounded annual growth rate is going to be close to 13.85%. That's why we say close to 13.5 to 14%. And it makes an absolute fantastic investment into India. I'll move on to the subject of warehousing. So warehousing in India is fastest recovering real estate vertical. Actually, shouldn't call it fastest recovering. It's broken a lot of records through this pandemic and is expected to reach a value of close to 2030 billion INR, Indian rupees. The real estate industry in India grew by 77% from 19 to 20. And once the statistics hit, it would be clear that 2021 is even a bigger growth. Earlier, a demand drop was caused with the crippling effect of the pandemic and lockdowns. But due to the e-commerce, that was the fastest sector to pick back. So towards the end of, it stood at 2020, it stood at 1,050 billion. But the industry is expected to expand at a compound annual growth rate of 15% between 21 and 25 going forward. So the pharmaceutical sector, obviously, which is one of the sectors that has been the fastest growing with all the vaccine and the other manufacturers of pharmaceuticals. India, after this pandemic, is supplying close to 60 million vaccines to almost 70 nations around the world. So the demands have gone up, and obviously it needs efficient warehousing spaces, new strategies for establishing crisis management, identifying multiple sources, and protecting the supply chain. So this is one sector that is really growing hugely. Obviously, the e-commerce sector with everyday purchases, FMCG goods, e-commerce, everything has become so important. In fact, I remember through the pandemic, Amazon was the only one that was delivering to our house. And one day my wife didn't order something. And I realized the Amazon delivery boy actually came, rang the bell and asked, is everything okay at your house? Is she well? Because she hasn't ordered anything. So I think that is going to become the future of our meetings going forward. But currently, the tier 2 and tier 3 cities constitute only about 13% of India's warehousing demand. And most of it is limited in the tier 1 markets, taking the lion's share. But the secondary markets are growing even hugely because the distribution system will need a lot of warehouses. And that's rising demand for e-commerce and doorstep delivery is expected to have exponential growth, not just in tier 1, but tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And that's here to stay. So these are some of the statistics on how Amazon and Flipkart have hugely grown and how many other warehousing companies and e-commerce companies have come into the picture. So manufacturing sector, especially after GST, and now with a lot of stuff moving from China to India in terms of manufacturing, post the pandemic, is also creating a large demand for the warehousing market. Like we said, China was the leading manufacturing hub, but the China Plus One strategy is working very well for us. And a lot of MNCs and giant global players are now investing into large manufacturing bases in India. India is likely to become the EV capital, the electrical vehicles capital, and the accessories of EVs capital very, very soon. And I think that will also have a large rise. So overall demand in the warehousing industry in India is on the rise, and it will only continue to grow as the markets continue to open up post the pandemic world. The supply chain automation technologies in India are transforming, and the future of warehousing and logistics will be dependent a lot on it. That is the future of prop tech in India. Instead of running through the whole thing, I will run through the main warehousing automation technologies that we are talking of. We're talking of warehouse digitalization. We're talking of autonomous warehouse mobility solutions, where you will have automated guided vehicles in the warehouses. The IoT, the Internet of Things, will refer to an interconnected ecosystem of devices, all connected via sensors that can acquire and exchange data in real time. So the smart warehouse is going to be the future. Mobile computing and wearable tech in warehousing will, and the distribution logistics will disseminate data, and that will ensure, absolute facilitation of faster deliveries. Real estate in all these aspects will actually create multi-million opportunities of jobs for multiple other people, as we can see it. So we are not a part of a small momentum here. We are a part of a very large momentum here. Business intelligence, we keep talking about it into the management systems, to the backbone of the warehouse housing systems, the artificial intelligence, and the blockchain, which is obviously going to, the blocks of data are going to be chained, and that's going to be a part of our lives going forward onto everything. So warehousing automation is a large prospect. I've spoken about the commercial sector and offices. I've spoken about the warehousing. I'll very quickly cover what the growth prospects for commercial realty look like. According to JLL, a recent report, the absorption stood at about 4.39 million square feet in the Q2, the second quarter alone, and that's showing a 32% year-on growth in major cities. So obviously, that whole hoopla of commercial is doing slow is already on the back burner, and it's going to grow at a very, very large place. The phenomena that's happening right now is that the A-grade commercial space is doing better than before, but the lower grade commercial space is the one which is still taking a little time to come back. And obviously, that whole smaller retail business is getting restructured after the pandemic, and it will take some time for it to come back as a report says that the 7,400 office leases of 90 million square feet is up for renewal, and most of it is assured going forward. Obviously, the work from home philosophies by the larger companies, the reorientation in office spaces will cause certain thing. According to the Knight Frank Fitch Nareco report index, sentiment index of 2021, they are buoyed that after lifting of lockdowns and relaxation of mobility restrictions in June, the stakeholders are picking up the office market activity, and is expected to grow in the next 9 months. This is for regional markets of Delhi and South as to how it's growing. So I keep pushing it. The recent listing of the Indian REITs, that's brought it to the level of US and Singapore. There are multiple REITs listed, and that's projected to boost developers' ability to, and the desire to create more commercial properties, resulting in increased liquidity inflow into the commercial real estate. So whether it's Blackstone's or Brookfields or Tiger Capitals, I think all of them are now in India, or the Wade partners, and everybody is investing large time into the commercial business. And there is a lot of reorientation happening by top developers on the commercial side. So I'll finish it with the 10 commercial real estate predictions for 2022. The number one, the effect of COVID-19 on the commercial real estate will be less pronounced going forward. These will be asset class winners. Work from home will continue in multiple formats. The interest rates will remain low through 2022. The major cities will continue to see some population decline, but the suburbs are cooler again. The businesses will face the inequality that is all around us because the lower bracket gets affected most by these crises. And that bracket, the inequality will have to be bridged. The affordable housing remains an issue, and the whole government machinery is now in India focused on it, and that will bring in a lot more to the commercial. The environmental, social, and corporate governance investing will be a spotlight, and we will see a mainstream rise of the alternate assets as we go forward with commercial real estate. So, ladies and gentlemen, collaboration, not competition, is the name of our game. That's how we are together from multiple countries. Our international connects become our network, and our network is our net worth. I keep saying, if our net does not work, it would be called net sleep. Since it works, we call it network. So NICAR, CGBN, Illinois, Chicago, and NIR Global are our great brand ambassadors, and so are we at NIR India for them. And I'm confident we are at the verge of destroying barriers and doing what I call business beyond boundaries. I'm privileged on behalf of NIR India to represent India and make this presentation to you. So thank you. All of you continue to stay safe, and instead of staying home, sell real estate now. Forever real estate partners. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Samirji, for such a nice presentation and your very valuable insight into the commercial real estate aspect of India. I'm sure that the future of NIR India is also very safe in your hands and in the hands of Swapnil, who is to follow now. Can I invite Swapnilji to please enlighten us on the economic aspects of commercial real estate?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much, Pradeep bhai. Am I audible? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Samir. That was a wonderful presentation. As usual, Samir is always excellent with his presentation. And if you are presenting after Samir, it's always, a lot of pressure. So nice. Good to see you all wonderful people here. Good morning to everybody in US. Good evening to people who are attending from India. It's very, very heartening to see so many people actually joining in. Thank you, each one of you, to spare your time and spend or invest rather this time with us to understand India as a market, right? So without wasting any time, I would, give my 2 bits on the retail real estate segment in India. So if I may share my screen. Is it visible now? Okay, thank you. So thanks for giving us an opportunity to present here. Today, I will be taking a presentation on the retail India advantage and how retail sector is panning out in India. So I will just take you through this. Just to give you a snapshot of retail industry in India, the retail market in India has undergone major transformation and has witnessed tremendous growth and change. There has been a sea change in the way retail used to be, because earlier it used to be only mom and pop shops, which we used to call as retail sector for India. But there has been a transformation with markets like Mumbai, Delhi, NCR, Bangalore, Hyderabad, where there have been plethora of organized retail which has come into place, malls and a lot of other organized retail segments, which are high streets, which have come into place, and that has really transformed the retail bit. People have started identifying with brands, and that's where people have started using this retail as a branding exercise and not just a transactional one. India's retail sector, which was estimated at about $883 billion, with grocery retail accounting for almost 608 billion. Now it has changed. The market is projected to reach close to about 1.3 trillion by 2024, and these are massive figures given given the kind of demand which is accrued in the market. Today, India is the fourth largest retail market in the world. Right, e-commerce industry has also really picked up with the incoming of Amazons and eBays and Flipkarts. It is expected to cross about 350 billion mark by 2030, and it is growing by on an average by 23% CAGR every annual. Today, India ranks among best countries to invest in retail space, predominantly because it attracts. It has the biggest population after China. It's the second largest population after China, and there is a lot of domestic consumption which happens predominantly by the middle income and the higher income class, which is prevalent in most of the major metro cities where retail is an upcoming sector. Correct? Increasing urbanization, rising household incomes, right, and great connectivity to rural consumer has given this impetus. Today, India is also ranked as number 2 Global Retail Development Index by GRDI in 2019. And I think by 2021, it is declared as a top destination. Retail sector today contributes close to about $800 billion to India's GDP, which is almost 10% of India's GDP. And that's again huge numbers that we are talking about. It is also the second highest employment sector. Okay, as I spoke earlier, increasing demand for organized retail space has helped create a capacity of close to about 120 million square feet in retail space across all the major cities. There are 8 major cities in India, including your Mumbai, Delhi, NCR, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune. All these cities have seen major growth in the retail space. Delhi obviously and Bombay has led this space by Delhi being close to about 23.7 million square feet and Mumbai close to about 16.7 million square feet. The sectors that are driving this retail growth is typically FMCG, apparel and footwear. Adidas being the biggest investor last year, and a lot of consumer electronics goods which are also playing a major role in growing this segment. It constitutes close to about 65%, 10% and 9% respectively in the FMCG, apparel and footwear space. E-commerce has really picked up since last 3 years, and probably it will touch about $350 billion by 2030. The total value of digital transactions in India is massive, 537 million square feet. So that's huge by any standards. $72K worth of merchandise was sold on e-commerce websites. That's tripled since 2015, right? So this is basically a snapshot of the market. See, if you look at 2020, it is about $883 billion, which will move to about $1,000 billion by 2025. If you see the category-wise breakup in the retail market, apparel has the major 9.8%, followed by consumer durables and IT, and followed by jewelry, health, and home decor. Indian e-commerce market, which is close to about $115 billion USD, will move to about $200 billion by 2026. So definitely, like any other sector, this sector was also affected by COVID-19, and there was a huge impact because there were lockdowns imposed across the country. So the impact was very huge till about a point. The closures of all the retail stores, shopping malls across the country, it had led to sharp decline in the consumer demand. People obviously were not traveling. The only things that were moving were essential items like food, grocery, medicines. These shops were allowed to function, because they were essentials, obviously, and non-essential items like apparels, consumer durables were completely shut. So they had a huge impact in a negative way. As the lockdown was eased gradually after the first phase and the second phase, slowly the things have started picking up now. And since June 2020, we would have seen a lot of positive things coming for the retail segment. There's a lot of smile on the retailers because the demand has been pulled back, and there has been a lot of revenge shopping, what we call. So brands, even the highest segment brands, have seen a lot of sales in that segment. COVID-19 not only induced a change in economic direction, but also resulted realignment of a lot of consumption patterns. So the way things were consumed have also changed. The priorities have changed because there was a lot of uncertainty in terms of cash flows for individuals, right? So they have curtailed on their high-end brand requirements, and people are only focusing on the essentials. So the sales for essentials have gone up, and the luxury segment probably has dropped. Yeah, this clearly shows what was in trend, what has been doing well in all this period, starting since 2020, since the global lockdown, and till about 2021. So if you see very clearly, F&B and e-commerce have been the best. E-commerce has probably delivered more than what was expected. Department stores have obviously been under lockdown, so you will see a very, very negative impact. Health and beauty probably has picked up. And the best thing that could have happened was in medical and health segment. I think this was the segment which really flourished and which really took over in this pandemic time. Okay, this is about the demand supply which is there existing across 6 major cities, as I told you. So if you look at Mumbai, the organized retail stock which is there is close to about 11.1 million square feet, and there is a demand going forward which is close to about 12.7 million square feet. So there is a huge demand which will come up in coming time. Similarly, if you look at Pune, if you look at Bangalore, there is a huge demand which is expected in coming years, which is to be fulfilled. Like for example, Pune currently it is about 4.4 million square feet, which is expected to go to about 5.8 million square feet in the organized retail space. Hyderabad is close to about 11.4 million square feet, which is expected to about 15.5. So if you see, on an average, there would be a 10 to 15% increase in the demand for the space at which this industry is going to grow. This is how typically the structure was for retail space, predominantly driven by the big brands like Tata, Tesco, which were multi-brand stores. And FDI policy has changed since 2016. So last 5 years have been a phenomenal thing for retail sector, because in few segments there has been 100% FDI which has been allowed, right? So like in marketplace, there's been 100% FDI. Hence, the entrants like Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, they could enter the market, and they really have taken the market by storm. In the B2B segment also, there has been 100% allowance for FDI, which means that players like Walmart, Alibaba, they could come into this Indian market, because this is a huge market. It exposes a lot of potential, and this place can actually enter into the market. FDI has played a major role. Having said that, there is a lot of domestic. There are a lot of domestic players which have also been key investors, but FDI definitely has played a brilliant role in the growth story of retail. So if you see in the last year, starting from April 2000 to March 21, close to about $3.47 billion of FDI has been infused into the retail segment. So these are the figures which are taken from DPIIT. Lifting of lockdown has obviously given an impetus again, and it has invited a lot of cross-border investments from offshore funds and a lot of FDI, foreign direct investment. One good thing which has happened also in this space is with the introduction of REITs, real estate investment trust. A lot of investment from this. So currently we have 2 REITs which are domestic REITs which have been introduced. One was by Raheja and one was by Blackstone. Both the REITs are doing exceedingly well, and they have major investment. The chunk of their portfolio has gone in commercial, but there is a large sum which has also gone into the retail space and hospitality space. So REITs will bring in more investment into this sector, and it is going to grow by leaps and bounces. With the success of this two REITs which has been introduced, I'm sure there are a lot of players which are waiting on the borderline, which are waiting on the sideline, and very soon they will also enter the market. And there are a lot of small domestic investors who would like to participate in this game, in this growth story. So India gives a big advantage. Now, this is where the retail space exists. As we have already discussed, Delhi leads this space by close to about 23.7 million square feet, followed by Mumbai 16.7, Bengaluru, Pune, Hyderabad, and Kolkata. So these are major markets where retail space, organized retail space can be identified. This is growing at about 24.6%. So what is the advantage that India gives, right? So as I told you, the basic thing that drives India today is its population, and not only just population, but a population which has created a demand because of their income surplus. So most of the population is in the middle income group, and which has a lot of surplus money to basically consume in this segment. So the domestic consumption has been the major growth driver for all the segments. Close to about 1.3 billion population, you can imagine the kind of demand that is there in this segment. India is poised to grow at a pace of about 7%, right, as compared to the average growth rate worldwide, which is about 3.9%. India's growing middle class, as I told you, contributes to about 50%, and they have enough surplus to spend. The demographic is also very favorable because 58% of population, which is in the earning bracket. So what we say in earning bracket is anyone who is between 20 to 50 probably is making money, right? So that segment contributes to about 58%, and hence I think there is a huge potential for all the retail players in the market. So what drives India? As per the RAI, Retail Association of India, retail industry achieved 93% of pre-COVID sales already as we speak. The numbers are for February 2021, right? So there is a quick recovery in this segment. Innovation, collective effort of financial houses and banks and retailers, this have basically given impetus. Now there are small micro loans or micro financing companies who provide loans for shopping also. So there are a few companies who give you overnight loans based on your credit. So there is an easy credit available to consumers who basically have a cash flow, and they can avail this credit immediately and buy things that they want. So you would have seen the electronics and the consumable sales have really shot up because of this microfinancing companies. Foreign retail entering the Indian market has got a lot of FDI, which we have already spoken about. So that's one thing. Also, the policies have been very conducive to the growth. As I told you, FDIs have been allowed in few segments. It's allowed up to 51% where there's a multi-branding retail, and where there is a single brand retail, 100% FDI is allowed. So that's a big impetus, right? Also, the GST, which was introduced as single unified tax system, that has helped bring a uniformity in the entire country in the way the taxation used to operate. So this has given a big impetus. Again, the Ministry of Medium and Small Enterprises, they have been very supportive, and there has been an active lending for this segment to grow. So all these policies which have been introduced by government are also helping this industry to grow. So India is moving from an unorganized retail segment to an organized retail segment, slowly but steadily, and there is a huge potential given the population and the demand and the income surplus that is available. So it's a great market, and I think we will see a great growth in this segment going forward. Thank you. That's all from my side. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thanks a lot, Pradeep.
Thank you, Swapnil, for very nice presentation. And now I would invite attendees, if you have any question to the panelists, you can please post it on the chat so that we can discuss with them. But before they come out with any questions, Swapnil, I have a question for you. That
sure, sir.
Indian GDP growth rate is expected to be 7.2% in the next year. Do you think is this sustainable? And second thing, even if it is sustainable, do you think we'll be able to, our currency would remain, at a stable international rate so that, the international investors are not affected?
Sure. So, interesting question, sir. So, I will take this, in a typical way. So, what we see is this growth rate, which is 7%, is quite sustainable for a period of time. So, we are still a developing nation, and most of the demand, if you see the consumption which is happening for all the goods and services which is there, the consumption happens domestically, and close to about 70% of goods are consumed domestically. So given that statistics and the kind of production that is happening, I feel that these rates are sustainable. These growth rates are sustainable. Maybe not for very long, but at least in short run for about 3 to 4 years, definitely I think India is going to grow at that rate.
Okay, thank you. And I have next question for Samirji. That if suppose I want to invest in commercial real estate sector in India, what particular segment would you recommend? Is a multifamily, hospitality, warehousing, or what would you suggest? Which sector has the largest potential for short-term growth?
Lovely question, sir. And obviously, in today's juncture, for the short-term investment of 3 to 4 years, the industrial warehousing is the hottest sector and bound to grow with the massive investments that are being put into the warehousing infrastructure and collaborations. So that would be the number one. The way to invest in warehousing would be via fractional investments, which have picked up very, very hugely. The second would be REITs, and if it's a larger ticket size, then commercial office investments, because the larger players are now coming back with much larger space requirements. Work from home is going to go, and even if it's going to be a hybrid model, the offices would require larger spaces for the same amount of people. So eventually, it's a much larger growth there happening. So these two, I think, would be the highest. The standard modes and REITs will obviously continue. I will take the second part of your question that you had asked, Swapnil, in terms of, besides this, whether the currency would be stable. In India, I'm saying this not just because I'm an Indian, but having watched the industry for the last 30, 35 years, the next 10 years is India's success story. The time belongs to India. And it's written all over the place because it will become the biggest manufacturing hub and base of Asia Pacific. And that's where the growth is going to be phenomenal. Of course, subject to pandemic and the other stuff, which are beyond our control. But otherwise, it's very clearly written.
And I think my next question is for both of you. You can answer alternatively or whatever. What is the progress of regulations, real estate regulations in India?
Swapnil, you want to take it?
Yeah, I'll take it, sir.
Sure.
So Pradeep sir, I think like every sector, Indian real estate broking is also moving towards a very, very organized thing. Just to update you, like US, where we have a qualification and an examination for pre-qualification of consultants to become brokers eventually. So recently in Maharashtra, the MAHARERA, which is the Real Estate Regulation Act, they have introduced a similar examination for all the consultants to be taken up for the license. So till the time we clear this exam, the license would not be available for a consultant. And this is a great move towards, making it into a professional thing. So that's one thing. And a Real Estate Regulatory Act has been implemented in almost 90% states of India. It has been very actively pursued. There has been an arbitrary court mechanism which has been also introduced. It's a fast-track court, and most of the cases which are lodged in the RERA, they have been addressed in a stipulated time period. So all in all, put together, I think this is very, very organized now, and Real Estate Regulatory Act have brought in a lot of decorum and a lot of discipline into the industry.
Thank you, Swapnil. Since Pradeep sir had offered to respond alternatively, I'll add to this a little bit, sir. So, there is a tremendous amount of the democratic similarity between US and India, the way I see it. So you have 50 states and we have about 30 of them. And RERA, the Real Estate Regulation Act, is actually a state act. It's a central act implemented at different state levels with minor variations. So the true fact of life is some states have gone way far ahead in the last 4 or 5 years of implementing it, like Maharashtra, like Karnataka, like some of the other states following, whereas some other smaller states have to still get the momentum going, but eventually it's catching up. Second, the mentality, I eat that sweet if my wife is not watching me. So, all of us Indians are pretty used to being policed. So point is that policing, one is enacting a law, second is implementing it. That implementation is taking a little bit more at other places. But like Swapnil said, education is the key for the real estate industry, and it has transformed in India herculeanly in the last few years. Education will continue to be the key for growth, and NIR India is playing a large role by appointing IRE, which is Indian Institute of Real Estate, an arm of NIR India, as one of the first arbitrary bodies that would be providing this education to clear the RERA examinations. So NIR India is playing the role in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think I don't see any question from the
Yeah, I have a question. So we all have different platforms for listing our properties. I wanted to know, primarily, is there a standardized database, or what is your primary way of listing and advertising commercial properties in India?
Swapnil, I'll take this. Commercial properties, you have your MLS listing systems and multiple properties on multiple forums. You have platforms like Magic Bricks, like 99 Acres, like Common Floor, and a lot, close to over 100 websites, 3-4 of them being very big. Your own websites, your multi-reach, Google AdWords, multiple places. But the truth is, there is many forums which have come up for, especially for pre-lease properties, for leased properties. So the multi-listing system is very advanced in India. All I can share at this stage is that NIR India is now working to create its own platform for all the realtors in the country for the listing system. It might take some time, but the work has started on it. Hope that answers it, Teresa.
Yes. I have one other quick question, and then if no one else has questions, we'll start with the networking session. One thing that's been discussed in commercial real estate in the United States is repurposing of space. So, like you, people ask, is commercial dead? Well, of course it's not. Warehouse has gone gangbusters, right? We still have multifamily that will continue to do well because people need a place to live and we don't have enough inventory of places to live. And then retail centers, it depends, but we do have some struggling retail centers in the US, right? With the old concept of a mall, et cetera. And a lot of the discussion has been around repurposing space. And so, but the thing is, it's not as easy to just change overnight and repurpose it because there's regulation. And so someone asked about regulation from the licensure standpoint, but what about from repurposing space that no longer has its useful life? How easy is that to happen in India, or is that also a difficult struggle for you there?
So honestly, a brilliant question. And, some segments of real estate, like every other industry, will remain through a struggle. Let me give you an example. I very recently saw a transaction happen. And, all it tells us is I knock myself on my own head and say, why did it not occur to me? So a small retail mall, which was absolutely, literally closed down for last 2 years because the smaller brands walked off post the pandemic and it wasn't running, has been converted and sold to a hospital space. And So, there is a fair bit of restructuring that will happen. You said single homes or multifamily homes have come back like a gangbuster, and absolutely the plotted market or the villas are absolutely exactly on the same way on a fire as they are in the US. The high values are the highest sold right now than the smaller values. So same phenomena are happening here. Obviously, there would be restructuring. As per me, co-living, co-working, and retail mall will go through a differentiation going forward. However, India has one peculiarity, and that's population. Right now, if I go to malls and I enter in there, my first reaction is, was pandemic ever there in our universe? So let's hope for the best, but there would be some bit of restructuring, Teresa.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
And
Ahmed?
Yes. So before you start the networking, I just want to, I have a question and then just want to thank our participants, if that's okay. So Samir Bhai and Mr. Swapnil sir, both of you, I mean, this was excellent presentation. And as the expression goes, commercial real estate in India is on fire. I mean, it's just amazing, especially looking at the office sector, where, yeah, has been a disaster as far as the office sector is concerned. The industrial warehousing is doing very well. So we'll have to do another webinar on why the success of the office sector in India, which is a topic on itself. But one question, the direct foreign investment into commercial real estate in India, where is that coming from? Which countries in particular?
US, Singapore, UK, Germany. Right now, those are the four largest, but it's also going to influence from a lot from, the Middle East. But that's what is going to grow going forward.
Thank you.
Amitabh, thank you for all the compliments. But I'll add something, like a true realtor. We will contemplate charging for the second webinar. So let's see if it goes forward. Just kidding.
I like that. We'll have to talk to our CP, our chartered accountant. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Lunch is on us, but you have to come here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Looking forward.
Are you coming for the conference, NICAR conference?
Gunning for it. We hope to see most of you in San Diego, but they've opened it from 8th, and there are still a couple of issues. So over the next few days, we'll confirm.
Well, thank you very much. So before Teresa goes into a networking and labs and wants, I'd like to thank
before we go for networking, I think I see.
Go ahead, Pradeep.
Yeah, I see one question from Chandrakant Gaikwad, that how do you build confidence of investors in India? So, I mean, can either Samirji or he can answer that? So now suppose a foreigner wants to invest in the real estate sector in India, what are the main factors he or she should consider?
So, as of today in India, a foreigner cannot invest directly. The 2-3 ways to invest is either you are a non-resident Indian or a person of Indian origin, or you are married to an Indian, or you could invest via your company if you are investing in India. So there are multiple ways. In fact, those are 2 slides that I skipped on the NRI investment portion, but we could take it offline. The confidence level going forward has to be high. India is a very large population country. So let's put it this way. Your title clearance to your evaluation of who and what you are investing in has to be great. Go through a NAR India Realtor. You'll be in safe hands.
That's fine. And there is also a request from some of the members and even from us to, if you could share your slides, both of you, that will be very nice. I mean,
we
will do that.
They are very informative, and I think people would definitely like to, digest that further.
Lata has a question, so maybe if you could.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lata Chobanputra from Southern California. Anybody who is a FIAPSI member and visiting NAR convention, expo, we are hosting a special, our council is holding a special breakfast on the 14th from 9 to 11, 9:30 to 11. Please join us. This is exclusively for FIAPSI members. So we would like to see all of you. Samir, if you are bringing a delegation, let us know. We are trying to arrange a property tour in San Diego after the breakfast. So let us know how many people and what.
Thank you so much, but I am not a FIAPSI member. I am, as of now, only NAR India and NAR Global member. So, but we'll definitely pass on the message, Lata, to our other members who are part of it.
Maybe you can join us for property viewing in San Diego.
Absolutely. Would love to.
Okay.
Would love to.
Thank you.
Okay, we are wrapped up with the questions, and certainly we can ask some questions offline. Before I end the recording, we will ask to have the presentation shared. They can send it to our coordinator, curtain coordinator, Michael White, and then we could figure out a way to distribute it. I did ask that everyone put their contact information in the chat so we can network beyond that and or ask questions. I am going to stop the recording and explain the networking session.